Hey everyone, welcome to Public Facilities Committee for February 18th, 2025. We will go ahead and get this meeting started. I will call it to order. If you'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, thank you for getting everything switched over to the staff. I know that was a quick change. Sarah, are we good with the statement of compliance before you?
We are.
Awesome. We'll move on to number 4. Can I have approval of the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any objection? And I see no objection on there. I will let you guys know. As possible, we will take a couple of the items together towards the end of this, but we'll discuss that when it comes up. We'll move on to the public comment period. We do have 2 names on here. Dan Riedel. Did I say the last name right?
Yes, you did.
I'll take it.
I have a couple of things to
Yes, sir.
hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Riedel, just while we're passing that out, just so you know, there will be 3 minutes on the clock, but it'll pop up there. It's fine. Whenever we get started. Thank you, sir. No, you are all good. Trust me, I've done that myself multiple times.
That's all right. That's all right.
My name is Dan Riedel. I live at 55 Sunset Boulevard, and I'm here to speak regarding a proposal that is not on your agenda regarding the improvements, in quotes, on Sunset Boulevard and Miller Drive. As my letter, I will let my letter speak for most of my concerns about this, which are many, but at this point, we have over 200 residents on Sunset Boulevard that are not in favor of these improvements. And the reasons for it have been stated in the letter that I provided for you, and I will not be redundant. We pray that the funds that were allocated for this could be used for a better purpose than widening Sunset, which is a residential street, and we would like to have the quiet enjoyment of that street and not have I-95 at our doorstep. Thank you for your consideration, and I will let my letter stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right, we'll move on to the other one, Jesus Rodriguez. Hi, how are you?
Good, yourself?
Doing well, thank you. After you. Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. Forgot to bring my paper down.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jesus Rodriguez. I am the Litter Control Enforcement Officer and the Adopt a Highway Coordinator. I've been asked to come here today and unexpectedly don't have a presentation, but I'll go through my results, what I have for this year thus far with Adopt a Highway and the Litter Crew. Is that?
Yeah, Mr. Rodriguez, I actually have you on the agenda for my number 9,
Okay.
if you would like to present it during that.
Sure.
Does that
Whichever
work?
works.
That way we can give you some extra time to go through it and not be time constraint for you.
Yeah, I do have the presentation, but
Yep,
that's
sorry, I
fine.
didn't miss-
Okay.
Yep, we'll take care of that in at the litter enforcement, because we're getting you established as litter enforcement officer, and then also with Victoria with some of her numbers, so,
Okay, thank you.
yep,
That'd be
perfect,
perfect.
sounds great.
Here, I thought he came to give you a citation.
Not yet.
I would never. Do we have anybody else that did not sign up for our citizens comment that would like to? All right, with that said, we will close the public comment period and move on to number 6, the Assistant County Administrator Report. Jared, I believe I'm calling you right back up.
Yeah.
I think we have a couple introductions.
Yes, so good afternoon. Chuck and I are going to tag team this, and The first part, though, a little bit has to do with the org chart. So this is public facilities and safety. And as you guys are aware with the org chart, we kind of had some changes around. Facilities management has come into infrastructure, and capital project management is moving over to under ACA Chuck Atkinson. So you'll see both of us a lot, and we'll give intermittent reports on this administrator's report. But first, I'd like to introduce, through that change of org chart, we are also advertising for a director of facilities management, and glad to announce that Mr. Frank Stronchek, if you want to come up here, Frank. Frank was awarded that and is now our director, and he was previously serving, he's been with us about a year and was serving as deputy director, and put his name in the hat. He comes with us with a host of experience. He's got spreadsheets that will knock your socks off, and I think has good ideas and plans for us to carry us forward to maintain our facilities as capital project builds new facilities. So Frank, if you want to just say quickly.
As Jared mentioned, I've been at the helm of the deputy director position for about 9 months. Jared earlier this morning called me some sort of a whiz-bang guy with spreadsheets, but I'm really not. It's a simple spreadsheet, but I'm really excited to be a part of Beaufort County, especially as the facilities director. I think I have some really good, robust ideas, initiatives, and some software platforms that will really help elevate us to where we need to be. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then I think Chuck is going to give some updates on capital project management. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Chuck.
So as Jared alluded to, with the new org chart, we have established a capital projects management department. And I want to introduce Robert Getze, who is the interim director of that department. And our plan is he's going to provide an update on all of our capital projects that we have going and pending, give you a status update. And our plan moving forward is to do this at every public facilities meeting moving forward. So without further ado, I will introduce Robert. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are y'all doing today?
Doing well, sir, and yourself?
I've got fantastic. Got a presentation that hopefully, I guess and what we'll be doing is basically summarizing project management for FY25. So with the change, we've also had to kind of draw a dividing line as to what is capital project management projects, and then what is going to be facilities as well. So you'll see actually on here, we've got 94 projects that were in FY25 that we're managing. We've basically taken 13 of those and handed those over to facilities for them to those are projects that they have a better grasp on, let's say, or are in their purview. So they will be handling 13 of those 94 projects. We currently have 57 in progress, 23 that are in the not started, planning, or waiting on funding stage, 5 on hold, and 9 that are completed. And then if you look on the next slide here, we break it down by department. And you can see that we've got quite a few. Of course, we are managing currently one airport project. They usually do most of their own. We've got one with animal services, several with ARPA projects, 3 that are listed under capital projects, clerk of court, detention center. And again,
Speak up
we
just
can
a little
continue.
louder.
Sorry.
Speak up just a little louder.
Sure, sorry. We've got detention center, which has quite a few projects that will be going on. We've got the stucco renovation, some interior renovations that will be taking place. And disability and special needs, we have some projects that are going on there with repair at their facilities, as well as some of their DSN homes. Facility management manages, again, there's some that are listed under there, but those include some like the admin building renovation. And again, you can see on here, we have quite a few with Parks and Recreation. We have 24 ongoing projects with parks at $38 million. And And again, some of that has included the Brace Project, Buckwalter Recreation and Athletic Complex. A lot with, we have the Charles Lynn Brown Community Center that is being updated and upfit this year. Probate Court, Public Works, Register of Deeds, Sheriff's Office, we have 7 projects, and voter registration, we have 2 projects. Total funding, $110,453,000, is that correct? And there's a nice picture, if you see up top there, that I recently took of the new Arthur Horn parking lot. So that's underway right now. The next slide is, these are some of the projects that were completed early in FY25. We had the detention center body scanner, which you can see a picture of in the bottom corner there. That was a nice project that they're now have the ability to scan detainees as they come through. We also have the Burton Wells concession stands that were renovated this year. Register of Deeds records room, which is a picture of it there. The records room was actually consolidated and downsized because most everything, of course, is being digitized. So they have a smaller records room now, but they have new computer desks. With that, we were able to gain some space, and we were able to relocate. It's kind of a flex space, but we have DHEC that was moved into that office space currently. So we actually have them here, their administration is here, and then their vital records was moved over to the DSS building. We've also completed the Shell Point walking trail resurfacing and the Whitehall Park Phase 2 dock and causeway, and you can see a picture there. And some of the active projects, just as a note, we've got the administration building, of course, which was approved last month. It's currently going through procurement. Community centers, Arthur Horn parking lot, as we noted earlier, is currently underway. If you've seen the big mounds of dirt that are out there and all the nice things that they're finding from 50 years of construction that are under the dirt. We completed the purchase of 247 Robert Smalls, the Badcock building. That will be repurposed for DHEC. We will be renovating that space and moving DHEC into there with their admin and vital records as well. Bluffton Recreation Center remodel just got approved last month, and that again will be underway soon. Buckwalter Recreation and Athletic Complex is moving forward. Charles Lynn Brown Gymnasium improvements. Again, there's a host of different projects. We've got about 5 different projects that's going on at Charles Lynn Brown, and those are all currently either procured or going through a final bid process. And next slide. We've also got the MC Riley pool renovation. That's moving ahead nicely. We did have a few things that have caused some slowdown, but that is a very unique project, and hopefully that will be open to the public within the next few months. Okeechobee River Park is moving along nicely. Station 39 just went through approval last month, and the Southside pickleball and tennis courts, we're hopefully finishing up some final on the pickleball surface, and actually today we had new fencing going in on the old tennis courts, and Public Works was out there adding gravel to the parking lot. And last, we've got the detention center stucco repair, which will be a big project that we'll be undertaking very soon.
If I can go back to the Southside pickleball courts, I've actually had several people reach out to me. Apparently they're closed at one point.
Yeah, they're closed all week this week.
Okay, they are.
Yes.
Is there an idea of when they're going to be open to the public?
So the existing pickleball and tennis will be open again next week, pending good weather this week.
Okay.
So they're anticipating being done by Friday. As far as the new pickleball, so what the issue there is that there were some surface imperfections. So they do a test and they have to meet certain guidelines. With the weather, they were not able to complete the repairs during the bad weather. It has to have good curing conditions for the surface. So they're going to be completing those repairs and then applying a new top coat to the surface.
Perfect, thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair, I have a question, please. The MC Riley Bluffton pool renovation, you said that would be done when?
So we haven't anticipated April. finish date for the contractor. We would still need to get DHEC to inspect and approve. So as for a solid date, I do not have that, but it has been extended out to April. There were some unique challenges and things that have come up with the construction of the outer wall. It is a prototype. And this design, of course, has been applied to the other facilities as well. So there were some things that we've had to work through over the last couple of weeks to get that moving forward.
And when did we close that? I remember it was during budget season last time.
It's been a while. I'm not sure of the exact date, but I can find out for you.
June? Yeah.
Yes.
So it'll be open for the summer for the children.
Yes, ma'am, hopefully.
And Oconee River Park, what's the timeline on that?
I do not have a solid timeline on that, but I will definitely find out and update you.
I was just curious. And Station 39, we approved a design build.
That's correct.
Where is that? Has that gone to the construction guy yet?
So for design, it has not, it would still be going to design first, so it would not be going to construction yet. So we're still working through procurement with that, and then it'll go to design.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sir. Chuck, did you guys have anything else on this one still?
Yes, sir. So this is a first blush at doing this type of update with this many projects. Obviously, it would be difficult for us to go through every single one of the projects. If council has any feedback on what you want this report to look like, if you have any additional questions or things that we can offer during this time, we'll be happy to do it. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Well, for you, yeah, I appreciate your statement. What would be? I'm trying to follow, and this I take projects funded by department. And I just take some of the fire station. What would be very helpful would be which fire station is part of that 3.
Sure.
You know.
So what we can do along with this report is give you a spreadsheet that shows all of them with particulars. We won't go through it at this meeting, but we can provide that as part of the backup.
Details. It's just so that
we can do that.
at least I know that you're doing something in my district.
Absolutely, we
Right.
can do that. Yeah, we'll give you the address and the specifics at a high level on a spreadsheet. That way you'll be able to see them at a glance. Yes, sir, we can do that. That's no
Okay.
problem.
You know, if you're going to report like once a month, is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it would be helpful to take each one and just say what progress was made from the last time. Instead
Sure.
of my saying, well, where are we on Oconee River? You know, just what progress is made in between.
That's perfect. We
That
can do
kind of
that.
helps us.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Jared.
I do have one last thing to add, just a public announcement, mostly because everybody will hear this, and specifically you, Chair Cunningham. So LATS, as I've talked before, LATS has 5 studies that they're doing within the area. Beaufort County is working on 3 of those, but they're working on 2. One is the southern part, SC 46 and 170 in southern Jasper County. The other one that LATS is working on is Bluffton Parkway itself. So they are hosting, LATS and their consultant is hosting an in-person public information meeting Tuesday, February 25th from 5 to 7 at Buckwalter Recreation Center. And we have a flyer. We'll send that out. But in that, they have a host of information where they are on the data. I'm sure 5B will come up, and it will be a lively discussion. But LATS is leading that. That's not Beaufort County, but did want to make that aware to everybody. And I have some information that we'll share to council and also put out to the public to share that
You
as
said
well.
February the.
It is February 25th, so
25th,
Tuesday, was that next
Gotcha.
Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday from 5 to 7 at Buckwalter Rec.
Gotcha.
Should be
Thank
fun.
you.
Should
We
be.
have chat with council that night.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's 2:25 on February 25th. It's the town of Bluffton that did a study, correct?
No, this is LATS. So LATS is the
Okay, so-
one
The funding
initiating
was
this study.
provided from the town for LATS.
Oh, that's my question. Thank you.
So what you're hitting on
Yes,
is
thank you.
they're doing a study, county had some funding on the study as well as our local contribution. Our funding did not go to the study of 5B. The town put extra funding towards 5B.
Right.
And initially, what they're probably going to be looking at and displaying is some initial stuff, and then I don't know whether they've got the work on 5B described yet or not, but that will be a subsequent. But there was no county funds in the study of 5B. Yes, good point.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Conclude the report?
That is the conclusion.
Perfect.
And if you want, I can update, kind of introduce item number 7.
Yeah, let's go right into number 7. Let's do it.
So item 7 is our 1-cent sales tax. So Brittany and Jennifer, they've been up here several times, and this is, just as a reminder, our quarterly report. We get all of our documents and report the month after the quarter ends. So that is why we're here today, for you guys to have that report.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How is everybody today? Mr. Glover, is this loud enough for you?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Does everybody have a handout? Presentations?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just for everybody who's watching on television today, my name is Brittany Bishop. I am the Program and Finance Manager for Beaufort County Engineering Department. Me and my Jennifer Bragg are managing the 2018 sales tax referendum. You got the slides, or do I need to click? Okay. So just an update for today. Thank you. An update for today, and all of this is going to be posted online at www.beaufortcountypenny.com. As a reminder, in 2018, our constituents passed a $120 million transportation sales tax. $80 million of that was to go for the US 278 corridor project. $30 million of that is dedicated to 9 projects on Ladies Island, and then $10 million of that was dedicated to 24 locations for sidewalks and multi-use pathways in order to connect the community to our public assets. So just quickly kind of going over those financials. So the ballot amount, this is both what was passed and then what our current balances is. Something that we continue to hear is the money still in the bank? Yes, the money's still in the bank. Yes, we are spending it. Yes, projects are going. However, this is giving you that current balance of those accounts. Just keep in mind that in 2022, we passed an ordinance to allocate some over collection to the sidewalks and multi-use pathway program. So that one is approximately $26 million. And right now, I think we are at 12 locations for sidewalks and multi-use paths. And then here is just kind of a little cheat sheet. We're going to get into more details with financials on the website. This will be presented in a more in-depth quarterly update in the future. This is just what we pulled for the fiscal year. So looking at everything, we have expended to date about $33.7 million. And that includes design, permitting, and construction of the projects that have already been completed. Does anybody have any questions about the financials? Want me to go into any more in-depth for this section, or everything looks perfect? All right, and then we're going to talk a little bit about project development. Mr. Getze kind of spoke to the longevity of projects in development and how it takes a while from design to right-of-way acquisition, and then, of course, the actual construction component. So I'm going to ask Jennifer to come up and kind of give you all a debrief on that.
So this is the same slide you've seen before. It talks about the different components within each category. So the long lead item is design. Another long lead item before we ever get to construction is right-of-way acquisition. So typically when we start right-of-way acquisition is where we consider plans are approximately 70% design. And the reason for that is really your design is done. So between, say, a 70% plan set and your final construction plan set, we're working on final quantities, we're working on payment marking and signing plans, traffic control plans, those items that would not affect right-of-way. So you're starting right-of-way, like I said, at about 70%, but your design is complete. Right-of-way acquisition, depending upon a simple project, can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months. The reason being is you're typically doing title opinions, your appraisal reviews, your negotiations before you finally close out a project. And that's if you only have, say, 1 track, or you could have 10 tracks. You start getting more than that, your right-of-way acquisition can extend just because you're still doing the same pieces for all of them. And then finally, when you get through all of that and you have your permits in place, then obviously we're going to construction. A lot of times when we say we're entering the construction phase, part of that is actually the procurement. It's the advertisement for construction, receipt of bids, verifying the bids, the approval by county council to go to construction. Most people don't realize even that part is anywhere between 4 to 6 months just to go from advertisement to notice to proceed. Part of that is when the bids come in. If it's only a county project, then only the county reviews. If we've got any federal funds, then that also will involve the other entity that is supplying the federal funds, whether it's a CDBG grant or if it's, say, a TAP grant where we need DOT's involvement. So then with this, what else is involved? We've got 2 guiding documents that we've mentioned before. One is the intergovernmental agreement between Beaufort County and SCDOT. This document is on the website that under the resources. This guides everything we do on the projects because pretty much every project in the sales tax program, except for a few, are on DOT system. So we are designing to their standards. We're incorporating them throughout the entire process for review. So when we get through with design, they're agreeing to the design of the project. They're telling us, yes, we agree the design is complete. You can go to right-of-way acquisition. Same thing with construction. We agree the plans are 100% design. We agree with the quantities. Here's your construction authorization. You can go to construction. Likewise, when the sales tax passed, the resolution there is a resolution passed by county council for all the projects in the sales tax program. Talks about the right-of-way acquisition, talks about 2 public meetings per project, everything else. And again, this document is also on the county sales tax site. Any questions with either of those? Okay. So y'all have seen this timeline before. We're going to keep it. We're just going to keep adding to it. So here recently, since we started the first of the year, we've actually held 2 public meetings. One was on Big Estate Road. That was fun because we had to scramble. It was the week. It was originally planned for the week when the snow happened. So we had to postpone it to that Tuesday, and thank goodness for the council member. He also helped get the word out that the meeting was being postponed because we had no way to get out there to go update the signs. But we still had a good turnout on that Tuesday. The community is very appreciative. They're ready for the project to get started. And then here recently, we had another public meeting for the Hazel Farm Gay, Sunset Miller streetscape projects. That public meeting just closed. So with both of these, we'll be pulling together summary and recommendations over the next couple of weeks to be submitted. I'll get to that. So here are all the Ladies Island Corridor traffic improvement projects. One thing with these projects is this. So these projects were brought forward into the sales tax program as part of the 2017 Ladies Island Corridor study. The study was originally initiated by the city of Beaufort, but it did have county partnership with it, involvement, collaboration. The study is the guiding document for these projects that were brought forward into the sales tax. The city did not have the funding to do the project, so it was a study that was completed and no funding. So with this, the majority of these projects are streetscapes. That would be Sunset Miller, Hazel Farm Gay, and even to some extent, the Mainline Corridor project is a streetscape project. And what do I mean by that? So on Sunset Miller, Hazel Farm Gay, they are existing 2-lane roads. They will remain existing 2-lane roads. we are adding a 5-foot sidewalk on one side of the road and a 10-foot shared use path on the opposite side of the road. The Ladies Island Middle School access road is, while it is a new road, making a new connection with the Gay Drive intersection on Sea Island Parkway. So if you see on this map, we are using part of the school Cougar Drive as part of this. So then the school will actually have 2 new driveways off of this road, and it will become a public road. This road will also be a 2-lane road with a 5-foot sidewalk on one side and a 10-foot shared use path on the other side. Go ahead.
Where is that, the middle school access road? What stage of progress is that? at this time?
We're in right-of-way acquisition on the middle school access road.
We are?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I had 2 questions.
At the public hearing, that was not on the, that was not mentioned at the public hearing, was it? Okay.
So we had a public meeting on
About
it.
3 weeks ago.
That one, I can't
I don't
It was in
remember seeing
November.
that.
So all of our public meetings, we provide a handout, and on that handout is a general description of what that project is, along with an estimated anticipated timeline of where we are in our current development. So when we did make that public presentation back in November, I believe.
I'm looking for the date.
Okay. We did have a timeline, and all of the material is on BeaufortCountyPenny.com.
Yeah, I was referencing the one that was done about a month ago.
The one the one last month was the Miller Drive and Sunset Boulevard streetscaping, along with Hazel Farm Road, which is a current
Right, I saw
county
that.
dirt road, and then Gay Drive.
So Ladies Island Middle School was actually held in May of last year. It was a joint meeting with Airport Frontage Road Phase 2.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, Ladies Island Middle School was a while ago.
Okay.
The one last week was the airport, sorry, now you're getting me confused.
Yeah.
It was the Sunset Miller Hazel Farm Gate.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yes.
what okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Howard.
2 questions.
yes.
Any lights going to be at Ladies Island Middle?
We are proposing to do street lighting, but really the street lighting is more for the.
Traffic light.
So what we have stated as far as the traffic lights and the coordination we've had with DOT is typically DOT will not allow a traffic signal to be installed until it meets their warrants. Currently, the day it opens, right now it does not meet warrants. That doesn't mean it won't change, and that doesn't mean when it opens, we will not go and count to see if it would meet warrants.
I think it's got to have a light there.
Even at the
it's
school
almost got
road,
to,
I mean,
it's-
it doesn't warrant a traffic light?
Schools do not necessarily meet the warrants by themselves for a signal.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's got to have a light there.
Yeah.
That's why Cougar right now has no traffic signal in its current configuration. It does not meet the warrants.
And the other question I had, is Meridian Road off the table for a pathway now? Is it still being considered?
No, ma'am, it's being designed.
But I don't see, it's already being designed?
Yes, ma'am.
We got a lot of feedback, people against that one too. But I, just for, I did. I don't know if David did.
Yeah.
But, okay, I'm just curious. Well, where Rue du Bois comes into Meridian, there's not gonna be, is there gonna be a roundabout still there?
No.
Nothing? Okay, no.
This is truly
straight intersection.
just a pathway for Meridian.
Okay, just a pathway, because there were a lot of rumors going on. And I have 3, I'm sorry.
10-foot
When you
pathways
do-
too, just saying.
Broad River Drive, you have a date yet? That's in my district.
Not yet, and we will coordinate with you on that
Okay,
date.
great, thank you.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
So just so I understand the process, the meeting for Sunset Miller in particular, I think the 14th was a cutoff for comment?
Correct, this past Friday.
And so y'all are going to be bringing forward recommendations following the public comment section?
Yes.
So just so y'all know, we got a petition of 200-plus signatures out there that they don't want this project. So is it feasible that one of those recommendations may be to scrap said project?
I will review everything, which I've But when they've come in, I've just briefly read through them, but we've not sat down and gone through every comment yet.
Okay.
And as a reminder, this is the second public meeting for Sunset Miller, so we've already received public input one time when the project kicked off.
And that was a resounding no too, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't?
No, sir.
What year was that?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think pretty much the entire neighborhood was here and has signed a petition that they don't want it.
And I have a question. How much, it says that Sunset Miller's in design.
Correct.
So we're expending funds right now?
Yes, ma'am?
And what if the recommendation is not to do that?
Then design stops.
Oh, and then you'll tell us how much money was spent and for no reason, okay.
Correct.
Yeah, but we do have to have some designs to be able to see if it's even feasible.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that in a lot of projects to come to find out that it's not gonna work. I mean, you do have to spend some funds because there's nothing to show the public if we don't spend some type of money on design. I mean, even when we do anything on Bluffton Parkway and we bring that up, when we talked about the options of 5B, we still had to spend funds to come up with those designs to present. And that was a resounding no. But, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I just wanted to bring forward that these projects were derived from that study that goes back, that was approved in 2017. We're showing there 2 projects completed. Ladies Island Middle School and Airport Frontage Phase 2 are both in right-of-way acquisition. We've got these 3 projects in design. Obviously, the ones in right-of-way acquisition, we are working on the final construction plan. So again, the pavement marking, signing, traffic control, final quantities, those types of things are still ongoing. The permitting process is ongoing while the right-of-way acquisition is in progress. As mentioned in design, you've got the Hazel Farm Gay, Sunset Miller, and then the 21 corridor. The other 3 projects were placed on hold early on.
Do you have one more question?
Yes.
Regarding the design phase, I know before I was elected, I went to one of those design meetings for Sunset Miller out there. Did any of those designs just have stop signs?
No, so at the time, again, a stop sign actually falls under a different same type stop control warrant analysis. And at the time, it did not meet the warrants for a stop control. A roundabout that's been proposed actually falls under a traffic calming solution to slow people down. Because right now, Sunset is a straight through movement till you get to the end of the road and you have to turn right.
And the only reason I'm asking these questions, I've filtered a lot of these questions coming in, and it seems like the stop sign is the more feasible and economical solution rather than putting in giant roundabouts and tearing up waterfront property and things of that nature. So I mean, that's what keeps coming my way.
And we can if they're willing to support that with the sidewalks and the shared use path, we can revisit that also with DOT and see if that would be allowed from public input.
I believe our state, Shannon Erickson, State House Representative, has submitted a letter to DOT to see if they'll get stop signs put in place, and maybe we can get data if they do put stop signs to see if that solves the problem.
Okay. So we've added more information to this chart. So you'll see a category of when design started now on it versus before we were just reporting when it was beginning right-of-way acquisition or when it was beginning construction. One thing to note, why Sam's Point right turn lane went a lot quicker, it actually started before the sales tax ever passed, and it was started in design with impact fees. So that's why it went to construction so quickly after the sales tax passed. And again, this is just an update of kind of where we are in the design process for these. Now, sidewalks and pathways. So the sidewalks and pathways, well, let me go back one. If you notice there are 24 locations, 14 priorities, 8 recommended, and 17 locations. So out of that 24 locations, if you go back to the ballot question, there are 24 numbers on the ballot. But it encompasses, I believe, like 31 roads. So just keep that in mind, and maybe we need to update that to, to put that on it. So originally, county council knew that that $10 million would not get every project on that ballot. So the original resolution prioritized 14 priority projects. They were only reviewed from a conceptual standpoint, and only a few were originally slated, I believe it was like 6 or 7, were slated to move forward into design. So in 2020, of course, that's when COVID started. That's when a lot of these projects were beginning to get underway, even with the conceptual design. We ended up doing a virtual meeting towards the end of 2020. And coming out of that meeting and what came forward to county council in January of 21 was a change in the priorities and some of the recommendations to move forward into design. And this was approved at PFC January 19th, 2021. So the top list were those projects that were recommended to move forward into design. The bottom list was, these are the projects we want to move forward if and when additional funds become available. But the very top project, Burnt Church Road, because there was also a project on the impact fee list to widen that road, the recommendation was to remove it from the program and incorporate it into the widening project. So it is still being designed, it is being incorporated in that widening project. The reason being, if we were to put in a 10-foot shared use path on Burnt Church Road and then you came through and you did a widening project, you were going to redo it. So that one was removed. The rest of them are proceeding. Bluffton Parkway, of course, is completed. Rebo Road to Paris Island Gateway is completed. All Joy, we're almost there to advertise for construction. That is the one that had the TAP grant funding from SCDOT. We're going through the final spec package with them. They changed their spec package and released a brand new one, so we're having to do a couple of updates that hopefully we will get that one advertised in March, and it will go to construction. And several of these are underway. The bottom projects are in design now, but they were started later. And they started once that resolution was passed to apply the additional collections to those projects.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Salem Road, the issue, a boardwalk through the wetlands, correct? Or for
It's
that
a
pathway?
boardwalk over the creek.
Has the wetland permits been applied for, or are you still working on that?
We will get that once we've got to resubmit to DOT to get their final approval to start right of way. And so typically when we get that approval, we submit the permits, because at that point, we know there are no more design changes that could affect that.
Yes, Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, going back to All Joy, so All Joy you mentioned was a TAP.
That's the one
So we're not using any money for that because that's all coming from a federal grant, is that correct?
We've used money for design, we've
Okay.
used money for permitting, we've got so everybody knows where the projects are. So let me flip to this slide.
You can just give me a quick overall, you don't have to go into detail.
What's that?
Well, because that leads me to the next question. So as long as we know that it's covered, we do have some 1 cent sales tax money that's covered in some of the infrastructure?
So the 1 cent sales tax covered design, it covered permitting. We've got the 1.17 million, almost 1.8 million, 7-8 million in the TAP grant. There will still be more than likely some sales tax funding even applied to construction for that project, but we've managed to get, like I said, almost a $1.2 million grant.
The second part of that question is Burnt Church Road was always like one of the #1 projects for the county?
So it's in the the widening project.
But I've just heard recently from someone on staff that that funding is no longer there. So that project is not going to move forward, and that was one of the most important ones. So what's happening with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the design contract for Burnt Church Road, it's a widening and streetscaping contract. It is in design. We have an IGA that we passed towards the end of last year for non-sales tax related projects that kind of duplicates our efforts here, where we can go straight to headquarters versus the district to have all of our approvals done. So we are approximately about 60% for Burnt Church. It is paid for by our impact fees, the 1999 impact fee ordinance, or I'm sorry, the updated 2006 for Southern Beaufort County. It is on the list, and it's on our new impact fee list that we did in 2023. So as we collect impact fees, then we'll be able to encumber more funds for the construction. However, all we have right now is design funds, as most of the funding has gone to our obligation for US 278.
All right, so the question then is, obviously, we put money aside for All Joy. That money's not being used anymore.
It is.
So can that money be used then towards Burnt Church? Because that's on the list of projects to be completed.
So we'll need to look at the funding, because right now the additional funding that's on the list is for some of these other projects that moved into design.
And we're not going to be able to separate out, like she explained earlier, the sidewalk pedestrian accommodations from the road improvements, or we're going to be spending the money twice.
Okay. Again, just keep in mind that was the number one Beaufort County project from the 1-cent sales tax of 2018.
Yep, well.
Okay.
Well, based on the public comments that were
yes.
received from that first virtual meeting.
The ordinance, though it has numbers assigned to each project, just kind of rewatching prior council meetings, there was no numerical assignment to the 14 priorities that were established in that ordinance.
Right, but it was part of the 14 priorities.
14.
Just make my, yeah.
14 locations, yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I do have, I mean, you finish?
Well, I was going to go through a few other things, but I'm happy to continue taking
No,
questions.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
So one thing we will do next time will be similar. We'll reorganize this to make it a little bit more clear of which projects are completed, which projects are in right-of-way acquisition, which projects are in design still, so on and so forth, kind of like we did for the Ladies Island project. So right now, you actually have to look at the project status. Obviously, again, Bluffton Parkway is completed. Rebo Road to Paris Island Gateway is completed. A few things to note: we are still in right-of-way acquisition on Stewart Point Road. We are close to getting the Middle Road right-of-way authorization. We had a public meeting for it last year. DOT, I talked to them. They're doing signatures on one document, and then we should have that and be able to start that. A few others that have been submitted where we are requesting is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive sidewalk project. We're requesting that. Another one is Big Estate Road. We're pretty close to requesting that. There's a couple of other comments that have to be addressed. You mentioned Salem Road. We need to resubmit to DOT to request on that. Once we get that, we'll start the right-of-way authorization. Some of these, when we talk about this, again, we're coordinating with DOT because, again, at the end of the day, if we're inside their right-of-way, even when we purchase right-of-way, we want to be able to turn it back over to them at the end of the project. So we certainly want their approval so that if it is designed to their standards and constructed to their standards, they take it over at the end of the project. Real quick, Depot Road, design is complete. Again, we've got a few updates. We're pulling together the bid package. LCOG and Commerce came back and said we could advertise for construction. So we're working on that package to go to them to get that approval. When we do, hopefully we can also advertise it in March or 1st of April, depending upon their approval. Ms. Howard?
Yeah, just a comment, and I'm preaching to the choir because y'all have lived this, but as our administrator has pointed out, pathways are not simple and are not easy. You look at some of these dates, like Salem Road and some of the others, this money was approved in 2018, and we might not finish until 2027. And when sales, the next time we do a transportation or any kind of sales tax, we need to be realistic about pathways, how long they take, the acquisition of the right-of-ways. It's, of course, we had COVID right in the middle of this, but I think we still would have been taking this long on these pathways. They just take Mike Morris brought that up to me, and I didn't believe him, but you look at these dates, and now I do believe them. It takes a long time.
Right, most people think sidewalks and pathways are easy, right, but you're trying to fit them in right-of-way that's already being used for other things, whether it's DOT's roads, utilities.
Natural.
Right. The other thing with these is, granted, there's water all around, but then when you're designing, where does the water want to go? So a lot of these, the drainage, trying to handle existing drainage or improve the drainage, because you're going and you're hearing, well, the road floods, what do we do? Or my yard is flooding. So the design team has done more work with regards to stormwater, trying to figure out where it needs to go. Middle Road is one. Some of the outfalls were not conducive to actually put more water to. And we were sitting there going, well, we're not hearing a lot of complaints. We've checked with DOT. They're not hearing a lot. So what's happening? So we did infiltration testing. So Middle Road will actually have infiltration ditches to allow the water to do what it's doing now. We've done that on some other projects because, again, we had no outfalls. So it's trying to figure some of that out has added a little bit more time on the design, but you're trying to address what we can with the project and the funding and do this.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Just real quick, three things. One's a comment about Middle Road. I had a constituent that dealt with so much flooding, it took over a month for the water to actually recede from his house. And so I know there's a study that came out back in May. Take a look at that, but I don't think it really encompasses all the runoff from the state roads that are on that area, because there's stormwater issues that are backing up into the neighborhoods. So I went out there firsthand and saw it. It's bad.
Okay, can we talk about that specifically on that project?
Absolutely. So that's just a comment. Wanted to make you aware of it. The other two things. One, at our strategic retreat, we had discussed about standing up another committee to kind of look at the priorities and see where we're at after the last failure for the referendum to analyze in 2018. Has anybody discussed that with you?
I've heard about that, but realistically, right now with the funding, when you look at the list of projects here, priorities were set. So we're working through the list with the funding that is available with these priorities. Unless we come back to you and say, okay, now we've got additional funds available, what would you like? Right now, I'm not sure how you would want to change the priorities, because they were originally established with this list. They were updated after that virtual public meeting with this recommendation on the sidewalks and pathways. So right now, these are the priorities.
I understand, but that's what I wanted to say. So if we do stand up a committee, I guess if they analyze that and come back with reports and everything on our end, how does that change? Can that change anything? I mean, I'm just curious.
I guess that from this perspective, you could change, but then are you going to stop any work that's being done here to add a different project and just halt it without completing?
Well, I think what we're planning on doing is we're going to have another workshop specifically to talk about that, and what I've talked with Jennifer and Brittany and Brian about is our job is going to present where we are on the projects and how much has been expended, what's left, and basically create an a la carte kind of buffet selection.
Okay.
Now, different decisions, if we choose to stop on one of these sidewalks and pick up a whole nother sidewalk, it might be cheaper, but there's a schedule involved in that. But our goal is to have information for whether it's the committee or council, however those decisions made, to bring some finality to 2018.
Okay, perfect. And my last thing, I see on the slide that was presented here with the number breakdown, it just says total expenses, 33,750,000 and some change. When you go on the website, it does have a breakdown of expenses, but is there any way at the next update we can get an actual itemization of what, I mean, DOT, I think I brought this up last time, over 17 million we've paid back to DOT to manage these projects. Like, can we actually get an itemized breakdown of what they're charging us? And same thing with these other contractors. Can we get an itemization?
So I tried to do that on this one, but it was going on to like 4 slides.
I got you.
So my simple solution was, let me just show you the total for now. Because again, it might be easier to just give you a handout with all of that, because it doesn't fit on
Totally fine
slide.
with that. But, instead of just seeing the number, actually going through the line items of what's been expended and what, where it's going.
Right.
When I see, and I know from a constituent standpoint, when I see $17 million going back to DOT to manage the projects, that's like, what in the world?
So part of that is, the majority of that is the US 278 corridor. Some of that is they do expend or send invoices for reviews for all of these other projects, but the majority of that is the obligation for the 278.
And like I said, I completely understand, but if we can show the public exactly where the money's going, I think it'll help.
Yeah. And that'll be in the detail that will be published to the website. Again, it didn't fit on the slides. I can break it out and try and, but again, it'll be multiple slides, because otherwise you couldn't read it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can I get my question in now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to go back to the Ladies Out Corridor traffic, improvement. Right there. No, the other one. Yes. And my concern is really this, from Sea Island Parkway, 802 Sea Island Parkway, going north or going west to Beaufort, we discontinued that. But traffic hadn't really changed. It's probably increased since that. And so this whole design was trying to move traffic and have a traffic flow, as I understand it. So what do we do with the traffic that's coming off the bridge, coming into this area here, and then moving it forward? My question really is, should we rethink this whole entire endeavor? Because I don't think we're going to ever. Council said no to the business section of Sea Island Parkway going to the bridge. I don't see council changing that, because I think the public is going to come back and say, we told you no. So how do we move traffic coming from St. Helena to this area near Walgreen and dispersing that traffic both ways? How do we move it? What can we do now to build better capacity? And what I see as capacity building is actually Sea Island Parkway and 802. Can we build 802 and Sea Island Parkway coming up there to handle more traffic, not even considering moving that traffic toward the bridge and the business section downtown Beaufort?
So I'll let Jared jump in a minute.
And I'm asking, for capacity building now, which is maybe expanding another little lane there somewhere.
Widening a road is
So we are still doing design. We're about 60%.
Right.
We're about 60%, and you are correct. From the business section was removed, but really even under the current proposed design, that business section was looking at additional shared use paths, not widening that section. It was trying to put in some access management, combined driveways where needed. That got removed. We're still moving forward. The problem is we've got to look at the budget on We don't have enough for construction right now. Could we get to a point where we can at least buy some right-of-way and preserve it, such that when some additional funds become available, can we get to construction? But with the plan at the main intersection of Sea Island Parkway, Ladies Island Drive, we're still proposing dual left turn lanes from Sea Island Parkway onto Ladies Island Drive. There's dual lefts from the portion of Sea Island Business going on to Sam's Point. So the intersection is still being improved. Where Airport Frontage Road comes in at Airport Circle and that traffic signal by Walmart, right now, prior to that signal, it tapers down to a one lane. So we are still proposing to widen that portion of the road to provide an additional through lane. That'll give more capacity at that signal. Now, you still are going to taper down to a one lane going eastbound, but you at least get more cars through that signal. The rest of the project is still access management and putting in the shared use paths where we're taking out the 5-foot sidewalk and we're putting in a 10-foot shared use path. So we would have that on Sam's Point Road to down Ladies Island Drive from basically the Hazel Farm Hazel Farm on Ladies Island Drive up to Miller Drive West on Sam's Point. So that whole corridor is proposed for 10-foot shared use paths on both sides of the road. From the intersection of Sam's Point, Ladies Island on Sea Island Parkway, we've got 10-foot shared use paths on both sides to the intersection of Gay Drive and Ladies Island Middle School. From Gay Drive going out to Airport Frontage Road, we will have it on one side, and we will have it on the south side of the road opposite from the airport, which will connect up to the 8-foot sidewalk that was put on Airport Frontage Phase 2. Beyond that, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, and thank you for that. So I think to bring that to a short answer, I think where we're headed on Ladies Island, all these improvements on Ladies Island and the pathways, but Ladies Island in particular, is a version of what we're doing right now on 278. So we had our major project. We can't afford our major project. We didn't get additional funding to complete the project. And what can we build with the funds that we have? And so I think it's going to be the a la carte that we mentioned, but it also may be a scenario where, okay, well, maybe let's focus our funding on the intersection that is under stress and trying to get 4 lanes all the way through the Walmart intersection in that area. And maybe we don't have all the add-ons that we would like, and we kind of phase this, set it up where we're going to do this now, and if there's ever another project, we can do that later. And those are discussions that I hope we can get to in the March workshop and really get down to what do we want to do with the funds that we have.
And that's what I was just about to...
I would appreciate that, because when we're looking at, even if I look at Hazel Farm Road, if we don't even do Hazel Farm Road ever,
yep,
or Sunset Bluff Road ever,
yep,
we still got traffic we got to move. Can we move that traffic? And I think what I'm seeing on the 278 is that traffic is moving much better. I went there this morning and stuff, and I was amazed. I got Oldfield kind of slowed me down, but beyond Oldfield, I was able to move and got to Savannah plenty of time to get lost and find my doctor appointment.
Yeah,
that is important, and I think we want to move traffic. At the same time, I do support bike path and pathways and stuff because I think that's encouraging bicycles and other kind of means of transportation and walking, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line for me is moving traffic, because if we can't move traffic at that intersection, it bottlenecks back on Sea Island toward going east.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And I think maybe as Councilman Bartholomew mentioned it, if we have a plan and design and we spent the money, even if we don't build Hazel Farm and Gay, we've got a design sitting there ready to go. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well,
But
I'm not
then if we
suggesting not doing it
prioritize.
now. I'm
Well,
just using it as an example.
I'm just saying, these are topics for discussion at our upcoming workshop, and we'll hammer that home.
That's exactly where I was going to go with it, Jared. A lot of these discussions we're having right now are 100% workshop
And
discussions.
last
This
bit.
was supposed to be an update, not us
Last-
debating about what we're going to continue to build and not build and how it should look.
I'm not talking about 278. You guys know exactly where we are on 278. And then we took some of those comments that we had, and we'll provide updates and even the breakdown of funding elements. So thank you. I know that was a long time. This is important information. I know it's hard to talk through and get the updates, but public needs to know notified, and you guys need to be up to date where we are. So thank you for the time.
Perfect. Thank you, Jared, and thank you, ladies. Appreciate it, y'all. We will move on to number 8, solid waste and recycling program update. Ms. Hoffman.
And so as she comes and we get a new slideshow up for her, so this is an in-stride update. This one will not take as long, Victoria, as sales tax. But this is, again, a lot of good information that she has to share, things that have been going on, and particular as it pertains to recycling. Overall updates to the program, but a lot of good information that she has to share, and super glad for her to be able to present to you guys.
Thank you. All right. Transitioning from penny to sales tax to talking trash. It hits every time. It hits every time. It's an easy one.
Pretty much one and the same.
Right? I just got that, sorry. All right, so my name's Victoria Hoffman, Solid Waste and Recycling Program Manager, and here to tell you a little bit today about a program update for just what we've been going on and why you have 6 items on the agenda pertaining to solid waste. In the fall/late summer last year, we were asked from the Public Works Department to establish vision, mission, and goals. That's a lot to read, so I've summarized it here. The vision of the solid waste and recycling program is to provide Beaufort County with efficient, sustainable waste management and recycling services that not only protect the environment, but ensure a cleaner future. Our mission, just to deliver waste and recycling services. We want to reduce waste, promote sustainability, and then, of course, support our community. And then our goals summarized is to improve our efforts for solid waste and enhance our operations and hopefully controlling costs as best as we can. So a couple of changes that you may or may not have seen. I know you've heard of the thing, if it's not broke, don't fix it, but if you have the opportunity to improve it, you should. So our program was not broken, but we always look for improvements. Don't know if that's a good trait or a bad trait. For me, depends on who you ask, AKA my husband and all of our ongoing efforts in the house. Anyway, so to assist in educating the residents, we have partnered with Recycle Coach. This is not only an app that you can download on your phone, this is also a web server that we have that software on our webpage. And it's an educational tool. Residents can use it to learn more about what we recycle and then also just how to dispose of irregular and hard to manage items. It also has interactive games kids can play, and you can actually test your knowledge on solid waste. Some other improvements, we've been working with IT and communications team just to improve our communication with residents, make sure we have real-time updates on closures of the centers, any events that are taking place. And we do have a new vendor for our bulky waste. That's basically what everybody else calls it as white goods, those large bulky metal items. So we no longer are transporting waste to the Shanklin, if you're familiar with that wonderful pileage that you're used to seeing. Now we can take the material straight to the vendor, and we're happy with that change. And we also really excited to work with Parks and Rec this year and provide some recycling bins provided by Department of Environmental Services on a grant, so we can start providing recycling at our ball fields when students and kids are playing. So convenience centers is the topic that everybody loves. This is a QR code. It'll take you straight to our webpage. This is kind of what it looks like on your phone. But you can scan that, and the very first thing that pops up is Apply Online Now. So otherwise known as the decal system, we're transitioning that to Solid Waste Pass just because we're no longer issuing those stickers on cars. And that's setting us up for the next section of the decal program where we'd like to put easier access into the centers, have less workers needed. So basically it's an automated arm thing. And we've had questions about the 3 uses per week. This had a tremendous positive effect at the centers for efficiency and safety. It allows us to keep up with the staffing needs at the center, and it alleviates the issue of backup at centers that don't have that circular track, which can be a concern for public safety when the line of cars entering the centers backs up into the roads. And we had our on-call consultant conduct a site assessment for our centers, and we're working towards implementing those and improving them. I can talk the ear off a tree, so I'm trying to speed along. If you get bored, just start yawning. So we'll continue on with our next slide. Another way that we've enhanced our accessibility for residents, we now have the option of scheduling an e-waste, that's electronics, drop-off program. So what we were doing was having these quarterly events that were held on the weekends. And that cost us over $100,000 annually to host those events with a third-party vendor. Not only the OT that we have to provide for solid waste personnel to also be at the events, and with the new state legislation that puts the responsibilities on the manufacturers to pay for recycling of electronics, we can, quote, do it for free. They provide the materials and for packaging, and they pick up the electronics for free. So right now, the only thing that we're paying for are those events that are pretty costly. So with this, we're able to streamline it. You don't have to wait 3 or 4 months to get rid of that old TV or computer in your garage, and then hopefully provide just easy and accessible means to dispose of those electronics. And we don't want people to get tired of it and throw it in the trash, because it is hazardous to dispose of in your waste stream. Not only that, but you're wasting rare earth elements that are commonly found in those. A couple of other things that we have streamlined. I already mentioned the bulk waste at Shanklin, and we're wanting to work with municipalities. Hilton Head has been our first to provide more services directly to those areas, and then also underserved areas. We've improved signage at our centers, and we're excited to, in the future, partner with local businesses and schools. Improving operational efficiency at the centers. The centers are ran really well. We have a wonderful superintendent, Brad McAbee, who does a great job. A couple of improvements that we have made. Our new vendor for recycling is I2 Recycle. Very excited. This is a locally owned business, operated locally as well. Just outside of the county. Now we have a place, this is a picture of their MRF. They are wonderful in everything that they provide. They work closely with our environmental educator because he sees the recyclables come in, so we know exactly what's contaminating the bins. So if you've seen our social media posts, that's targeting things that we're actually finding in our recycling stream at the centers. It reduces the amount of revenue that we can get. So we're really trying to work with him to encourage and educate our residents. And we have new roll-off containers for recycling. If you've seen them, bright orange with Rerun logo, really proud of those. Purchasing those outright from I2 allowed us to save money on the container fee rentals. So every time you're renting that container each month, it's a cost. Now we bought them outright with those ARPA funds, and that allowed us to also reduce those costs. And we're really happy with this MRF. I know there were talks, you all have heard about the sustainability campus and everything that we wanted to do. And now we're very satisfied with this contract, and we're hoping to move forward with them with a public-private partnership to enhance this MRF and allow them to increase their capabilities and move towards the same common goals. Environmental education, something I love, very near and dear to my heart. Valentina does a wonderful job. If you haven't seen this flyer, she is not only the environmental educator for solid waste, but stormwater, so she has her hands full. She already hosted a couple of events for stormwater and composting, so we're calling those her green talks. She's also been in the schools, and it's really great. She tailors her environmental education for South Carolina State Standards curriculum. So the teachers can go and see her, what we call curriculum menu, and choose the standards that they need to teach their students, and Valentina can go in there and help supplement that learning. So we really enjoy that. America Recycles Day, she was able to partner with our awesome vendor, I2, and she hosted educational talks and MRF tours with I2 and Mike Bennett. And she's also planning Earth Day with Jesus, our litter control supervisor, and that is taking place on April 25th. Mark your calendars for that. It's always a great event. And then this is another thing that Valentina is doing. That's a picture of vermicomposting. If you're not familiar with that, it's composting with worms. We got funds from South Carolina Department of Environmental Services to provide vermicompost bins, magnifying glasses, gloves, and worms, so we can teach kids how to divert waste, and then also scientific facts about the worms. So that's a fun project she's doing in the schools. On to our litter enforcement. Jesus Rodriguez is here tonight. He's on the agenda as well to become an enforcement officer for litter control. He's been doing really well. He hit the ground running coming in. He has continued our partnership with Palmetto Pride. He's increased his litter crew. We had 2 personnel when he started, and now we have 6. So we're expanding the program. We're really excited about that. Once we're able to get the assets, our goal is to separate those 2 crews and always have one north and always have one south of the Broad, so we can combat the litter issue. And then part of our partnership with Palmetto Pride, which that's another item on the agenda today, is to accept a grant from them. We partnered with them. Oh, I hope it's not upside down. It's going to be upside down. It was going to be cool. They created this poster, so, well, they didn't create it. They gave us funds to create this poster, and this is going to be a litter education campaign for students in Beaufort County schools. So we're going to have Valentina go to them and teach them why it's important not to litter. So that's one of our local birds. It's got a little gummy pack in its mouth. The idea is to hang this at schools and then give kids that quick 15 seconds, 5 seconds, hey, I shouldn't litter because look at that bird. So that is one of the things, and then he's continued to work with Beaufort County Sheriff's Office and South Carolina DOT to combat the litter problem. USDA Compost Pilot Program Update. One of my most favorite items on the agenda. Very excited to get this. We came to you a couple months back to a request to accept that grant award. And again, it was for $273,600. A couple of that included to purchase equipment. That's going to be on your agenda item tonight. And then supplies to outfit the centers with the needed infrastructure upgrades. And then bins for food waste collection, which I brought an example. So these were purchased from a DES grant, and this is going to be an idea of some of the funds that we'll continue to use. And Valentina will go and teach residents how to divert their food waste. And this is a compost crock that you keep on your kitchen counter. Oh. So you put your food waste in here, and then you can carry it eventually to the center and then dispose of it there. And then, of course, the sticker on the front shows you what you can and can't put in that. How am I doing? No yawns yet? Okay.
Well, before you go any further, let me ask you this question here. Where you have in there the USDA Compost Pilot Program, and you have the consultant $50,000, are you planning on using the Soil and Water Conservation District as a consultant to help with promoting?
We are, so with our consultant, that 50K, we're already working with them, and they're, it's going
Okay.
to be part of the presentation.
Thank you.
But we're already working with them. They're creating our compost pilot plan. So it's not going to be something we're just throwing out. We're having a robust plan. And a portion of that are the logistics of what we're going to outfit our centers with, how we're going to facilitate that process, and then a larger portion of their plan is the public education and outreach. How do we reach a third grader to an 83-year-older? So a portion of that, and then also in that plan, we have listed out our partnerships, and that's going to range from municipalities to schools to third-party entities like
Sure.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So far, I believe I have a timeline we can talk about. Here we go. So right now, we're in our phase 2 of this project, and that's how you see the in-vessel compost unit on your agenda today. We've also issued requests for proposals, so we were able to procure it's not a contract because of the amount, but an agreement with Moondog. It's the same company that created that poster, and they are going to be working with us to create a compost mascot character and an education outreach campaign that's going to consist of an educational video and then other materials and supplies that we'll be giving out to educate the residents. And then moving forward, preliminary timeline, of course, permits are a factor. But we're going to be outfitting our centers, and then hoping by November 2025, we can start collecting food waste at the centers. And this is just something we're really excited about. This is ahead of recycling. We're diverting materials from even going to the landfill. So really excited about this opportunity and endeavor to bring to the residents.
I had one question.
Yeah, can we let her get through
Yeah.
the presentation first, then we'll ask them?
Okay,
That
sure.
work? Thank you.
Alrighty, and I'm almost done. So there is one thing I wanted to mention though, with the last phase of the program, the first big phase that we asked for the funds for that was to get residents to start composting. But then there are sub-phases for the larger grant idea, and that's to incorporate it into the schools and then also get businesses and municipalities on board. So we really want to create this green business program where you get some sort of recognition for recycling and then also diverting food waste. So we're hoping that it's going to grow and expand and be something really big in Beaufort County that we're known for. And then these are just our improvements and next steps. We're basically hopping along the stairs one at a time, two at a time. But where we're going from here, as you see with the composting program, we want to divert waste first and foremost. And then we want to also just improve what we're doing at our centers. And then as we're moving forward, we want to really refine the way that we're collecting and tracking this data and make it more transparent for residents. So we've been working with IT on being able to streamline the data that we're already receiving and then be able to display it on, quote, live Excel spreadsheets on our webpage. So that way anybody can log on into the webpage of solid waste and see this is how much we've diverted, this is how much tons going to the landfill. So you really get that visualization of where we are with waste. Always wanting to track and improve what we're doing. So that's number 3. 4 is those stronger partnerships. So we want to work with our municipalities, work with schools, work with our third-party organizations in Beaufort County. I'm sure we all have really common goals and objectives, come together and bring those to fruition. And then always our long-term planning when we're doing our fiscal year budgeting and requests, and then each step in each day also incorporates those long-term plannings. And every program we implement, every improvement we make, it's about one thing, keeping our community clean, sustainable, and thriving for our residents today and tomorrow. Done. When I practiced that earlier, I had it at 20 minutes.
Oh, you're all good. All right, do we have any other questions?
I have a comment. you're doing a great job educating about how to recycle. There's some municipalities do a good job, and there's some that do not, and I'm not going to name names, but I hope they will take what you're doing and get it out to their residents. I see the recycle bins with things not done correctly, and of course, that's just going to get thrown away by their contractor. So I commend you for that. I really look forward to the composting and the food waste. I've been a composter for a long time, a real long time, and what y'all are doing there is great, and I hope it's successful.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely the municipalities is something that we would like to incorporate into what we're doing, and that is a long-term goal, is to get everybody on the same page with recycling in Beaufort County. And there are some large steps that need to take place, but the MRF with I-2 is the first step to start on that path.
Mr. Tabernick?
So I have a question about the convenience centers.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any data on how many people roll through there a day?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
I'd like to see that sometime.
Yes.
And did I actually hear you say you're going to put gate arms on them?
Well, that's the first phase, yes. We're going to do a pilot at Shanklin first and see if that improves the operations at the centers. Right now, we always have someone that has to scan that.
Right.
And if we put an arm up, then that alleviates that center attendant. Maybe they can go to the recycle area and stop somebody from putting a plastic bucket in with the plastic bottles, or assist somebody else in finding the proper receptacle for their waste.
So the gate arm would be activated by the decal we already have?
Yes, ma'am.
So will we have a gate arm graveyard? Because you're going to have people hit those arms, then they have to be reset, and like in Sun City, we have reams of gate arms. We
Well, that's
replace
bulky
at least one a
waste.
day.
That's bulky waste, and we do receive a revenue from that. So if they do damage them,
But you
we'll be
still
able to
gotta buy
receive
more.
we'll be able to see the revenue on that. So we'll make sure that they're metal. But I do see that, and that's what we'll look into whenever we are looking into that pilot project of putting the gate arm up.
I'm
And
glad
I can
you're
get you
doing
that
a
data
pilot.
too. The Solid Waste and Recycling Board meeting, and apologies, I meant to actually bring you the packet that we gave them at our last meeting, which has our Q2 data. We can give you that as well. It has a comparison of where we are right now in FY25, where we were last year in FY24, plethora of data from the centers, the recycling, and all of our waste tonnage as well.
And so there is data that we could see eventually. Are residents still limited to 3 trips a week?
Yes, that's what I hit on. The reason that we do that 3 limits per week is it helps us with not only managing the center and our attendance, but also decreases the backup that you receive at the smaller centers that are actually some of the ones, like on Hilton had a smaller center. It's one of the ones that is most frequented, and it's also one of the ones that produces that backup, which causes traffic concerns and safety.
Well, I use the one on Gibbet Road.
I'm sorry.
The one on Gibbet Road, I take it is a well-used one.
Yes, without looking at the data right now, but yes. Our least frequented one are the ones more rural areas.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else?
Just quick,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned a pilot e-waste program. Is that still a pilot program? I thought we've been doing e-waste for years.
Yes, sir. We have been doing e-waste for years. What's new about that program is you're not having to wait until a quarterly event to drop your electronics off. You can now go online and schedule to drop off your e-waste. You don't have to wait for that event
That's
to come
the
up.
pilot program.
Yes, that's the pilot program, and it's so successful. We're looking to expand that, increase that, and merge into that drop-off program.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And then unrelated to your agenda items, we do have some things for you. We want to encourage the disuse of single-serve materials. So we've got these water bottles with cute little Rerun logo on them. I'm sure they'll help you guys get those. And then also reusable sandwich bags. Not related to anything on the agenda, not swaying you at all. Just a friendly, hey, here, use this instead of plastic. Any other questions?
No, just one comment. Just one comment.
Yes, sir.
You had at the Christmas, I believe, party out here, you had a glass straw. Was that you?
No, I don't believe so. We do have metal straws. Our giveaways that we have are metal straws. It has the
Maybe it's
rerun
metal
logo on
straw.
it. Yeah, we have metal straws that we give away, and then,
That you can actually wash and everything else?
yes, sir, yeah.
I need 2 of those.
Okay, I'll make, well, I mean, I didn't bring them today. I didn't bring them today, but I'll definitely get Valentina. I mean,
Thank
come on, we've got all kinds of swag that we give away to residents, and that's, what we're encouraging is just the use of good practices.
I'm sorry to bring this. Can I make a plug for the recycle survey? It ends
I was hoping
March
you would.
1st. Okay. It ends March 1st, and the task force and committee that worked on that did a great job, and it's on our website. So we want everyone, when you mentioned the straws, it made me think about that. So thank you.
Thank you.
March 1st.
Right,
Do
we
your
will move
survey.
on to the next one, and actually, I think we have you for a couple more. So, number 9, a resolution to accept Palmetto Pride Litter Prevention Grant in the amount of $9,654 for the assistance of the litter program. Do we have that motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? This can be done with no objection, and I see no objection on there. All right, moving on to number 10, approval of a contract award to Waste Management of South Carolina for RFP 012325 Municipal Solid Waste Disposal. Fiscal impact includes the 5% contingency, and this is just renewing our contract with Waste Management, correct?
Correct. It's similar to what we're doing now with Waste Management. Their fee was already increased the last fiscal year, so nothing is changing. Basically, it's going to the same place, and it's also the same price per ton.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any objection? And I see no objection. That will also be approved with no objection.
Mr. Chairman, before you move on to the next one,
Yes,
was there a
sir.
gentleman in the back that wanted to speak?
It will be number 13.
Is that
We
13?
moved
Okay.
to 13, okay.
Want to make sure.
All right, number 11 is approval of contract award to Green Mountain Technologies for RFP 121024 for the purchase and installation and services of enclosed composting vessels. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All right, and this is going to be in the amount of, it looks like $95,000, and then, so a total, the current balance is $178,000, correct? For the entire project, or is the entire project $95,000?
The $95,000 was allotted to us from the grant from USDA. I did reach out to South Carolina Department of Environmental Services, and they have given us a grant for $100,000 to assist with this endeavor of compost pilot program. And they have approved that we can use those additional funds remaining from USDA to assist in purchasing this. So it would be a small reimbursement back to DES for that, and our upfront cost would be the remaining.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Just to be clear, the contract amount is $165,890. It's that $95,000 plus the $70,790.
Okay.
Just from two different sources.
Yes, sir. Do we have a motion
So moved.
and a second?
I'll second it.
All right, any objection to this contract? And this can be done with no objection as well. Number 12, request to purchase 6 waste compactor units for Beaufort County Convenience Centers.
So moved.
And a second for that one?
I'll second it.
All righty, and this one looks like the estimated purchase be a little over $480,000, so this will have to go to county council. Is there any objection?
And I did forget to mention this, we purchased the first half of those in last fiscal year. We'll be purchasing these if it goes to council and approval. And then for fiscal year '26, we've requested to purchase the remaining compactors that we use at the other centers, so St. Helena and Chinklin.
And I see no objection. This will also be approved. We will go on to number 13. Mr. Rodriguez and I believe Jared are on this. It's just a resolution to commission one solid waste and recycling enforcement officer. Can I have a motion to get this on the floor?
I'll make a motion to.
And a second?
I'll second that.
And seconded by Ms. Brown.
this is just, I asked Jesus to come just so y'all can see his face. So we have a couple litter enforcement officers already established, and Jesus came to us as the litter enforcement supervisor. So the previous one was one of the enforcement officers, and so now that he's gone and Jesus is here, we're getting Jesus implemented as that. Jesus comes to us, he's hit the ground running, he's doing a great job. He's working with Keep Beaufort Beautiful and all the volunteer groups that we have. And firstly, just wanted y'all to see Jesus so y'all know the guy that's working for you, and then this have him endorsed as the another littering control officer. So
I have a question, please. How many citations do we issue for litter? Just a ballpark.
Last year, from my understanding, in the last meeting that we had, we issued, not personally, but countywide, 1 citation for litter control violation. That was due.
That's like not much.
So what we're doing is, this is mainly for illegal dumping. So if there's an illegal dump and we get notification of that, we can go and search the bag and see if we can find any bills or content information to source the dumping. So this is really not, he doesn't carry a weapon or anything like that. He's not enforcing anything at the centers. In an altercation, that would be a sheriff. This is mostly to fight illegal dumping when we can find it and spot it.
Yes, so just to elaborate on what Jared just explained, my primary responsibility from an enforcement perspective is just to facilitate the sheriff's office from the civil side of the investigation, preliminary investigation, or however you want to call it. Anything that would transition or look further into it that possibly become criminal, that's where the sheriff's office would take over at that point. So primarily the position is to sort of facilitate, more or less like code enforcement, no more than that.
One of the problems that I have, and I think I did call someone, dumping in certain areas, and I think what you're saying is that when that happens, notify you, you will go research, see what address, what information you can gather. But I have a lot of white goods showing up in ditches.
Okay.
How would you handle that? I mean, because there's no traceability there.
Right. So, I mean, just to start off, sorry. So initially, just to answer your question, as far as reporting the incident itself, you can either go through Beaufort County Connect or just call me directly, which I can give you that information. And what I initially will do then is initiate or conduct what they call preliminary investigation, review, and within the investigation during that time, if there's any information like receipts or anything that can trace back to hopefully a potential subject, then I can sort of forward that to the sheriff's office and go from there. But as far as the primary responsibility, just to answer your question, would be just to respond to the scene, see what I can gather, and continue from there.
No, I mean, what has happened is that there's a very popular area.
Yeah, okay.
And you get tires, you get white goods, all in these ditches.
Yeah.
They do it at night, and you're not going to be able to trace that. So,
Yeah, we do have field cameras that we utilize, and I will put in areas problematic or constantly report it with illegal dumping, whether it's construction equipment, whatever that may be. So I do go out there and I install the cameras.
I appreciate that.
And go from there.
I'll get your number.
I will, yep.
This needs approval as well, correct?
Yes.
Do we have any objection for the approval?
Oh, thank you.
We did put it on the floor.
We did have a motion.
And just to be
Jesus.
clear, this is forwarded to county council. Council will be the one to appoint him, so he's not a code person officer until county council approves the resolution.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Thank you. And this will move forward to county council. Thank you very much, sir, with no objection. And I see no objection.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to number 14, approval of a change order to IPFW Construction Group for IFB number 120123E Laurel Bay Road Pathway Project. From my understanding, it looks like we need to appropriate extra funds to it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. So we call this a change order, but it should have probably been called authorization for contract modification. So our consultant, who is providing construction management services for this project, has looked at what has been invoiced and what their estimate is for what is outstanding. And their estimate is that it will take us over the contingency that was approved and will be an additional $331,000. So we're requesting the ability to increase that to $350,000 to cover any of the overages.
So 350 does give us also a little extra cushion on top of it.
A little bit, yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
A motion.
And a second?
I'll make the second.
All right, Mr. Lawson with the second. And do we see any objection on this item?
Can you explain the overages a little bit more? Like what caused what were the unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah, so there's been a few things that have been out there saying you think a pathway would be pretty straightforward, but when everything's in the ground, you deal with a lot of unforeseen issues. A big one on this one was utilities. We had some water relocations that were in here that ended up being a lot more detailed. We had some wrong information from Beaufort Jasper as far as the size of pipe and some additional road closures that needed for that. We have a no conflict letter from the gas company, but there was a conflict. So there was also Hurricane Helene and Tropical Storm Milton in there that caused extensive damage. So there were a few design issues and just overall, a bunch of different components that went into it.
So has the work been completed?
They've at substantial completion. They're working on punch list now.
Gotcha.
All righty, this will move forward, no objection. And I see no objection. Number 14 will be approved. Number 15, an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute any and all necessary documents for the acceptance of right-of-way for Cherokee Farms Road associated with the development agreement dated December 15th, 2014. I believe this was just finishing up because they completed the project, right?
Yeah, this is something that's been outstanding. Again, the development agreement was 2014. It previously went through 2 readings to be approved, but never made it to third reading for some reason. So this is us bringing this back to get this going. Cherokee Farms Road has been repaved recently. That was a county project, but they have not completed their right-of-way improvements, their additional parking, but they would have to do that then under encroachment permit.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
A second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Brown with a second. And can this move forward with no objection?
Yes.
And I see no objection on that, and that is no fiscal impact to the county. I would like to field a motion to take number 16 and 17 together, if somebody would be
I'll
willing.
motion that.
I second it.
Do we have a second? Do we have any objection to take them together? That will be approved with no objection, and both of these are going to be resurfacing contracts. I'll go ahead and read both. Number 16, a contract award to Blythe Construction for U.S. Highway 278 resurfacing, IFB 012125. Number 16 is a contract award to Blythe Construction for Bluffton Parkway resurfacing, IFB number 01012225. All right, we have a motion to put both of those on the floor.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
A second.
Mr. Bartholomew with the second, and this is just our standard resurfacing projects that we've been pushing through for the past 6 or 7 months. We've been going down the list.
Yes, sir. This is actual additional resurfacing that comes from CTC one-time funding. Our normal year 8 resurfacing program will be coming out to bid soon, but this is going to be for Highway 278 from the Oakey River Bridge to the next intersection, and then Bluffton Parkway from Buck Island to Red Cedar.
Which I can tell you that Bluff Island, the Red Cedar is a big one.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yes.
Bad. All right, do we have any objection to move these both forward?
No.
And this will be done with no objection. Thank you, sir. All right, we have a couple parks and recs. We will take these all separately, but they are all associated with each other. Number 18, ordinance authorizing the county administrator entering a lease agreement with the Big Estate Jenkins Community Center for real property located at 132 Booker T. Washington Circle. This is going to be for a contract for basically a $1 a year lease on this, because if you look later on in the agenda, you will see this is going to have improvements made on it as well. So it's just making sure that we secure the location after we put the funds in for improvements. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
And a second. Do we have any objection? And I see no objection. This will be approved with no objection. Number 19, this is going to be along the same lines. An ordinance authorizing the county administrator into an lease agreement with the Young Men's Social Club and South Pine Ladies Union for a portion of the real property located at 242 and 228 Scott Hill Road. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bartholomew with the second. Any objection? And I see no objection. And again, this is for a nominal yearly lease rate as well. That will be approved with no objection. One more time, number 20, an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to enter in a lease agreement with the Dale Laboco Community Center for real property located at 15 Community Center Road. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Howard?
I second it.
Mr. Glover with the second. And do we have any objection?
No objection, just Lobico.
Lobico?
Yeah, that's all. Go ahead.
This will be approved with no objection. Mr. Brown, we are making your job very, very easy today. I appreciate you sticking around with us, but this will also be approved with no objection. Is there anything you would like to add to these, sir?
No, thank you for the approval.
Thank you, sir. And we will go into the capital projects on these next. Number 21, a resolution authorizing the demolition of a structure and funding for demolition of a structure on Beaufort County-owned property located at 2 Mullet Street. Do we have
Make
a
that motion?
Do we have that motion? Do we have the second?
I'll second it.
All righty, and this is down in your district, correct, Mr. Lawson?
It is, and Ms. Brown is right beside me right there, so, but yes, that's in the Alljoy area.
Perfect.
Alljoy land.
I do want to make a comment. I know last council meeting, I brought up the fact that it just, I'm old-fashioned. I mean, you buy a home for 1-point-some million and then you tear it down. It's like, oh, but we need it for parking. And I had calls after that council meeting, and I just want to say that I understand now why we need to do what we need to do here. So,
Perfect.
for the record,
Can this be done with no objection then?
yes. Yes.
All right, this will be approved with no objection. Number 22, a contract award to Madco Contracting and Consulting Services for IFB 102324 Scott Community Center renovation. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
A second.
And the fiscal impact of this is going to be $153,965. It is coming out of our capital improvement funds for recreation and parks, correct? All righty, and can this also be approved with no objection?
Yes.
Any discussion? All right, number 22 is also approved with no objection then. If there are no other further matters, that does conclude our February 18th meeting. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That was not long, man.